Hello everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. It's been a while for Stellar XLM on this channel. We're going to do a quick fire update on this one as well as the chart. The reason I'm bringing Stellar to the attention particularly today, as I just mentioned, one, I haven't spoken about it for a while. Two, I'm going to explain why I'm accumulating even more than ever before, as well as still potentially waiting for a couple more drops potentially that may occur. We'll go into a bit more detail about that shortly. But I wanted to focus on a couple of things that have been announced recently today, actually. One in particular here from the Cointelegraph. This is around the French central bank head announcing the beginning of wholesale digital euro project phase 2. Now, if you remember across the channel of ours, many times over the last year, we have brought your attention to things like Project Helvetia, Project Jura, Project Dumba. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and check those videos out. These are basically the trial projects, if you like, of various different systematic approaches of different countries, different governments, different banks trying to work out how to do cross-border payments in an efficient way and a quick way, utilizing CBDCs. And a new banking system, the new RTGS system, which again we've done another video on. Something in particular here in the UK operates £720 billion worth a day of verifications and transactions and processes daily. Crazy. So this is confirming the wrapped CBDC experiments are continuing. We're in phase 2, and there is also conversation here about the preparation for the 2023 implementation to the pilot regime around DLT systems and also blockchain in general, and the CBDC powering systems in the background helping towards this. And I wanted to really reiterate and remind everyone here as well. If you remember, we did a video a couple of weeks ago about the updated planner for the new system to replace CHAPS and SWIFT and the RTGS existing systems. Funnily enough, when they mentioned about 2023, this coincides with the enhanced data section, and in between these two aspects of the migration and the US migration integration as well. So what this means is that in between this period of time, we are going to be from this pilot aspect into migration, meaning that we're going to coincide, or I say we, I'm not going to do anything, we're going to coincide all of these mechanisms so that eventually when we get to these areas in 2024, the new user interface will essentially partially take over. Before 2025, SWIFT retires, as do all the mitigating aspects and messaging systems that already exist in today's world and have done for decades, will be replaced with the new financial structure, standardizations, and technology. So this is really exciting for me, and I'm also bringing the conversation of Stellar into this because they are ISO20022 compliant. This is hugely important for the standardizations of, first of all, becoming a CBDC operative, but also when you're looking at the financial levels and messaging services, they need to have that compliance and standardization. And also to bear in mind that Ripple and Stellar are both founding or certainly top advisory level aspects of the ISO standardization panel. These guys are the ones that are going to be helping towards this. So Stellar, we reverse back to being one of the key fundamental potential applications towards the new finance system. We know it's been there for a while. Do you know what? I saw rumors today of that Jed's left Stellar. I don't know where that's come from or why or how. Maybe we'll see a bit more news of that in the coming days or weeks. Perhaps it's just a load of FUD, who knows. But one thing's for sure, we know he left Ripple. We know he's at Stellar. He's made a lot of money out of the two, I'm sure. I'm not sure why he would go right now. We're on the brink of absolute magnificence in terms of technological advancements into CBDC and DLT technology. But the other reason I'm bringing it to attention, if we're talking about the worldwide integration of CBDCs and the cross-border payment application, I want to take your attention please to the BIS recent report literally today. So I've read through a couple of these press releases and PDFs. This was around, you may remember we talked about this quite a few months ago. So there was a strategy here for the Indonesian aspect in the G20, of course, big summit going on the last few days, from the technical aspect. One of those conversations have come out into this nice press release here. The BIS, the Bank of International Settlements and Bank of Indonesia, under the Indonesian G20 presidency, today announced the shortlisted finalists for the G20 Tech Sprint Challenge on central bank digital currencies. Now, this is really cool because there used to be 100 originally selected, and now there's only 21 teams left in that shortlisting. So if we scroll further down, there will be no surprises here as to which two I'm going to pull out in conversation here: Ripple and Stellar. I would also like to throw in the fact that R3 are on here, and they obviously have heavy interlacing aspects with the private ledger section of Zinfin, for example. So that could be very interesting. And I do expect these three in particular to be extremely ruthless in this competition, if you want to call it that. And I'd expect them to be in at least the top 5, I believe. But there's other ones here as well. I just pulled out a couple here because Roxy is really interesting. They're working hard in networks and CBDCs and things like this, interoperability. This word is thrown about a lot. Interoperability means so many different things in this space. For me in gaming, it means different. Well, the concept is the same. The way it works and everything is very similar also. But then you think like, well, these projects that no one's really heard of or don't really have maybe tokenomics aspects may struggle, but they do have really good solutions if you scan through them. And I do recommend looking at this because some of them do have tokens with them as well, and some of them are just companies. So you may want to look at the stock aspects of there, but I will pull out FIS as well. I do have a good friend of mine works on the board there with WorldPay as well, so I do get some information, very interesting information when it comes to CBDCs and the SWIFT and what's going on in the world. So of course I can't mention all those things, but when I get a confirmation that this is something that I can discuss, of course I will always bring it to your attention. So I could expect them to be very, very much high in the agenda as well. And as for these other ones, they do have their places. I'd be very interested to see which ones make the cut, and if indeed how many actually make the cut in total, because I don't think it says anywhere about how they're now going to reduce that down. Are they the final 21? It says the 21 finalists, but is there a winner, or is that just the ones we're dealing with? I don't really know, but it says here shortlisted, so that's why I've got a bit of confusion here. So we're down to these 21, and I'm super excited to see obviously Ripple here. Stellar mentioned in here as well as part of a couple of other projects, and R3. I think that's going to have a really big... I wish R3, I don't even know if it is or not, but from my understanding, there's no stock in R3 or anything. I would love to have bought some or have the opportunity to, but maybe they will. Maybe they will. Near the time of 2025, they might float themselves. I don't know. But yeah, for the topic of this conversation and this video, really pleased to see them on there. And it's understandable, as I said, they are indeed an ISO compliant, both from the tokenomics aspect and the project aspects as well. And this is just a bit more info here about the very interesting competition here. So actually, if we look further down the line, shortlisted solutions platform, judging panel. So it looks like maybe October, November, we might have a bit more information as to which ones won that. And bear in mind, this is just for, I believe, the Indonesian markets and everything, but it's still a big market. I think the 17th largest economy in the world. I'm not sure what their GDP and stuff is, but I know that much for sure. And it's going to be really interesting because there's over 200 million people there, I think, maybe more than that, living there. I may have got that number completely wrong, but I know it's around that 250 mark, whatever it is, millions or billions. So it's a big market. And of course, in the grand scheme of things, again, it's another case study and another interoperable aspect of cross-border payments. So loads going on in the background, and it's always important to follow all of these different projects. Always follow the back end stuff here, like BIS, for example, as well, and everything that goes on. World Economic Forum, G20, they all talk about this, guys. You just won't see this in the public. You won't see it in the mainstream media, or in school, education, college, university, anything like this. You will not find anything there. You have to do the digging. Obviously, try and use videos like this look around at other videos as well, and you'll finally realize like what's actually happening here. I'm not saying that these are the only 5 or 6, 7 tokens you should be looking at. These are primarily my biggest ones in my portfolio, because there is nothing bigger than finance in the world. There is nothing bigger than money in the world. And when you've got mitigating projects like these, operating, creating new systems, it's a no-brainer for me. Of course, many other crypto projects, Web3 projects are going to succeed massively. Relay chains, layer 1, layer 2, scalability platforms, these will all have their place. But for me, you cannot beat the finance market. And Stellar is a big player in that. We must not forget this. This aspect of them and their protocol and what they're doing in the background is very exciting. I've been holding Stellar for a long time. And let's actually go into the chart, because for me, this is, in my opinion, a still a good accumulation area. I want to point out as well, guys, to make sure to be strategic always. Because for me, if you look at these longer term and the macro level of the XLM fib retracement charts or indicators, you will see there's a gap below this area, right, that we're floating around right now. Now, it's 10 cents right now is not a mystery. We've been here many times with XLM, and it is matching back here from August 2020. Can you believe that? December 2020 was the last time we were around these prices, and actually, oddly enough, it was earlier in that year, March 2020, in that big drop, I was buying XLM at 3-4 cents. If I look back at that was crazy. And now it's back at this point. Do you know what? In this period here, for me personally, when it went beyond 15 cents, I stopped buying it because I was like, I felt like I'd done enough. But actually, I realized as I learned more and more and did more research, how powerful XLM and Stellar in general will be as time goes by. So now I'm seeing this 10 cent mark. I'm almost in my mind saying, well, okay, we can of course potentially drop back down. I don't really believe that we could see another 3 cent mark, but there's an opportunity if Bitcoin does drive itself down to potentially 15,000 K, like a lot of people still suggest it is, and I'm still believing that will potentially happen. I'm fairly confident. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen. Anything can change any day. If it does, I think that's what could be breaking us down to below that 10 cent barrier, and I would expect a lot of resistance, especially around that 7 to 7.4 cent mark. That is because of this data back here, the good touch points even further back than that. But I think XLM as a token and as a project is so strong, it's going to take a lot to collapse it. I really do think that. So right now, if I just pull this in a bit closer, you can see we're literally messing around with this 10 cent mark, and we have been doing this for some time. As I said, we had a bit of a rise up here to 12-13 cents. It was always going to be something that pulled back down, but we're testing again. But I always believe to properly test, you have to come properly under this barrier, test it, and then come back up again. If we fail these areas and that coincides with Bitcoin, that's where I do believe we could see lower. This is why personally I have buy orders down here. So I'm accumulating like mad with XLM right now, but I'm holding always USDC back, as well as USDT, of course, in multiple projects across the board for potential drops down to these areas. Like I said, I'm booking in right now as each day passes, and when we're still around this 10 cent mark, I'm accumulating. But remember, the future is massive. Come 2025, when these things get switched on, and XLM Stellar is going to be a huge part of that for sure. This is where my takeout will be in 2025, around this area. Not just because I think the cycle will work in that principle as well, but also from all the things that we've just spoken about. What's coming, guys? November 2025, I believe, is the full deadline for the switch on. They might move it, could be 3 to 6 months minus or plus that month, but it's going to be around that region. And another couple of clarifications here on the indicators, particularly here on the RSI. These are still really low. The 14 days really good buy point. The 28 days still under that 40 mark, which is always nice for me personally. Yes, it's not as low as it was back here in June, but it's very, very close. So there's an opportunity here to DCA, dollar cost averaging, strategic buying positions to say, no, don't just throw all your money in straight away, go mad. Be clever with it. And look at this stability. The volumes are reducing both in and out, particularly massively reducing on the way out. This means that people are still confident, they're holding bags, they don't want to sell because they're probably either at a loss or they just believe in the future. We must understand this. But yes, of course, if Bitcoin drops down, we could see a match of this. And as I said, I do think that will be what could drag us down to around the 7 cent mark. We will have to see. But the performance indicators on the right-hand side, the 3 months and the 6 months are negative, but they are coming down slowly. The 1 week is looking healthier than it has been in most recent couple of months. And has the month, yes, I would like to see that a bit better, but we are in this bear run, bear market, bear cycle, whatever you want to call it. We're not out of it yet. I don't see an end to it really this year properly, but we must understand what XLM is, what Stellar is, what is their position in the financial world moving forward. And then if we're looking at that from an investment perspective, we have to look at all these indicators, and particularly, as I always reiterate, always look at the historic information, because this is where support levels are deriving from, not necessarily macro as in the last couple of months. You have to look backwards to understand where we are. And right now, I feel like we're in a very, very good area. If it comes down low, brilliant. If it goes up, brilliant, because I've been buying it right now. So I just wanted to make those points clear, guys. We're going to wrap that video up there because we've got a couple more to do tonight. Busy day at work tomorrow in the Web3 space. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We hopefully do another update video on XLM very soon, sooner than the most recent ones. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.